It was the dead of night in 1777 when a shadow slipped through the snow-laden forest outside Philadelphia. Few would remember him, and fewer still would understand the role he played in shaping the nation that would rise from the ashes of revolution. But this man, barely more than a whisper in history, carried secrets that could have altered the course of the American Revolution and the world itself. Nathaniel Graves was not a soldier by choice, nor was he a man of wealth or title. Born to a modest family in New England, he had grown up listening to tales of tyranny and liberty, learning early that freedom came at a cost few were willing to pay. Yet the story of Nathaniel begins not on a battlefield, but in the quiet library of his father's home, where ancient maps, letters from European aristocrats, and forbidden texts filled the shelves. It was here he discovered a letter addressed to General George Washington himself, hidden in the bindings of a French treatise on military strategy. The letter was unsigned, but its contents were chilling. Detailed plans of a secret alliance between British loyalists and French mercenaries, intending to crush the revolutionary forces before winter fully set in. No one knew the British were preparing a winter siege, and Nathaniel, driven by both fear and fascination, decided he could not ignore the warning. His journey began in secrecy. He traversed frozen rivers and dense woods, avoiding patrols and spies alike. Along the way, he encountered others who would later be celebrated as icons of the Revolution: Paul Revere, whose midnight ride Nathaniel had only heard of in hushed conversations, and a young Benedict Arnold, not yet infamous, whose brilliance and strategy would soon turn both friend and foe to awe. One night, while sheltering in the hollow of an ancient oak, Nathaniel stumbled upon a journal belonging to a British officer, Captain Edmund Harrow. The journal described a covert operation to intercept revolutionary correspondence and sabotage supply lines, but buried within its pages were hints of something far more dangerous: a plot to assassinate key revolutionary leaders. The names were vague, yet the stakes were unmistakable. Nathaniel realized that delivering this information to Washington could change the tide of war. Yet the question haunted him: who could he trust? Spies lurked in every tavern, and letters could be intercepted as easily as they were sent. Risking capture meant facing imprisonment or death, and yet the weight of history pressed on him. Through coded letters, hidden compartments in carriages, and secretive meetings under the guise of merchants and farmers, Nathaniel maneuvered across Pennsylvania. He became an unsung courier, carrying not just information, but the very hopes of a fledgling nation. Every choice, every step, carried consequences far beyond his comprehension. Then came the fateful night in December 1777. British forces had tightened their hold on key supply routes, and the Revolutionary Army teetered on the brink of starvation. Nathaniel, guided by fragments from Harrow's journal and his own ingenuity, orchestrated a series of diversions that allowed critical supplies to reach Washington's troops. In doing so, he not only saved lives, but ensured the continuation of the revolutionary campaign. Historians would later describe the winter encampment at Valley Forge as a time of unimaginable suffering and resilience. Few would ever know that a single young man's courage, navigating the shadows and whispers of espionage, had played an integral role in sustaining the fight for liberty. By spring, as the tides of war began to shift, Nathaniel faded back into obscurity. His deeds were unrecorded in the grand annals of history, overshadowed by generals and politicians whose names would echo through textbooks. Yet the truth lingered in hidden letters, preserved in private collections, waiting for the day when someone might piece together the story of the man who moved unseen, whose courage whispered through the forests of a newborn nation.